This is 2025 latest statistics and data. Approximately 79% of adults in the United States have medium to high English literacy skills, leaving about 21%. Those 21% of adults with low literacy rates are approximately 43 million. Besides, over half of the people in the United States read below the 6th grade level, and 1/5 read below the 3rd grade
Wow.
level. I was reading at a 6th grade level, modern standards, by the time I was 5.
Well, you're definitely smarter. Well, you are a language.
No, they lowered the standards.
Yeah.
I read a lot. Yes, I did. I read a lot.
The only thing that saved me was Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons I discovered when I was 7 years old, and it was the catalyst for me becoming an absolute obscure history nut.
Yeah.
I would read history books to make my D&D games better, but what ended up happening is I learned all sorts of obscure history.
Yeah. By the beginning of 8th grade, I was reading at like a 4th or 5th grade level. By the end of 8th grade, I was reading at a 12th grade level because I had read every module. I've read every book. I started.
And you had to have source material, man.
Yeah.
It's about the source material.
And it really went crazy when I got into science fiction games and I started like building my own galaxies and all that other shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those were actually pretty intellectually healthy pastimes. Our parents might have gone, "Oh my God, you're playing that stupid game again," and they don't look behind you and see the stack of 12 history books from, medieval Balkans and Germany. So, literacy rate in the United States in 2025, 79% of adults are literate. The United States has a national literacy rate of 80.7. I think it's lower than that.
I would have to agree.
Children of adults with low literacy skills are 72% more likely to have a low reading level. I'd say it's higher. Adults, listen to this. Adults with a literacy below the 6th grade are 54%.
Wow.
Over half of the country.
Wow.
That's not 79%. 79% of adults in the United States are literate to the degree that they can read words on a page.
No, I actually had a dude in basic who couldn't read.
Yeah, we had 1 or 2 of those as well.
Yeah,
We
and
had 1 or 2 of those as well.
I took pity on him because they were really fuck with him hard like the first week we were there because he couldn't read.
Davis, our Davis and the drill sergeant smoked the shit out of him until we learned to close ranks around him.
Yeah.
And helped him.
I actually taught this guy how to read over the 3-month period. He was reading by the time I left basic and AIT with him.
Yeah, we had to teach him to read, and we had to teach him to march, and we had to teach him to shave.
No, he could do all that. He just couldn't read right.
This guy was just I don't know how he got in. Honest to God, I don't know how he passed the ASVAB.
It's usually back then you had the Army or jail program.
That's true. That's true. We had one of those in 2002. We came back from mission and we had all of our gear and antennas and all that. We're wearing civilian clothes and we're all scruffy looking. And in the lobby of our bunker, which our logistics guy was this guy named Herb who had a sense of humor. Our waiting room in the outside of the bunker that entered into the skiff, he had dressed up as a dentist office, complete with old car magazines and a couple of what was that Christian magazine?
I don't
Searchlight or something like that. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
It had carpet and comfy chairs.
Nice.
Herb was a dick, dude. It had like a couple of rubber tree plants.
Nice.
And this kid sitting there, we walk in and we walk by him and you could tell he was pissing himself.
He was new.
Here comes the guys with all of their gear and they've got facial hair. They're wearing civilian clothes. And what the fuck have I gotten myself into? We go in and we go, hey, Chris, our SSO, he's sitting at his desk inside the skiff. We're like, what's with the Joker on the monitor there? He's like, oh, he's a go to war. He hacked like 3 DOD computers. And NSA walked into his trial and said, what do you want to do, kid?
All right. Well, at least I gave him a break.
And that was his first moment was that dental office waiting room and a bunch of guys with antennas looking like dirtbags.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah. He got his. Anyway, item number 7, all adults with a literacy below the 6th grade are 54%. That
is just tragic.
14% of the employed population in the U.S. have low literacy skills.
Wow.
New Mexico has the state with the lowest adult literacy rate. Note that they don't even say what it is. The lowest child literacy rate was New Mexico. The highest percentage of literate adults is in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has always been kind of squared away with education. They're one of the original colonies, and they've always sort of stayed that way.
Uh-huh.
The government bears the cost of $2.2 trillion per year for low literacy levels. Why is the U.S. government? They're the problem. Where are the $2.2 trillion going?
That's right.
The average American is considered literate at the level of a 7th or 8th grader, which fucking infuriates me. That statistic infuriates me. It's ridiculous. There is no reason for it. There's no reason for it at all. And
well, hang on.
Okay, that's a whole separate show. It's a whole separate rabbit. I just want to get that out there.
All right, but you got to be able to put a majority of this blame on single mothers.
I do,
because once no-fault
like
divorce,
I said, it's a whole other show.
Yeah, once no-fault divorce came into effect, the women lost the ability to control their sons and daughters, and you can't make them learn. There's nobody there to crack the whip on them when they come home. They drove the father off.
I left home when I was 16.
Yeah.
I literally I was gone. I was out the door. Because I was in a single parent home and I just was sick of my mother's shit and didn't like being beaten. Being beaten didn't thrill me.
You're done with it.
To my credit, I never hit her back.
Fair enough.
I never hit her back. I was in really good shape at the time. But I would never raise my hand to my mother. That's not a thing. 1 in 4 children in the United States grows up without learning how to read. It is seen that 2 of 3 students in the U.S. who cannot read correctly by 4th grade end up in welfare or in jail. I wonder what segment of the population that is.
Well,
did it have to do with single mothers in any way, shape, or form, do you think?
Yes, I do.
That kind of matches up, that number there, with what we know.
Wow.
Of the adults with low English literacy skills, 35% are white, 5% were born outside of the United States, 23% are Black, 34% are Hispanic, and 8% are from other races. I'm going to be honest, I would challenge that unless they're going off of strictly gross numbers.
Well, the Uniform Crime Report, they do add Hispanic crime to, Caucasian.
Yes. Yep. 66% of the average 4th grade children in the United States could not read. Now, look how these statistics skip around. It's 66% of 4th graders here, but they say 79% of adults are literate. How is that 66 getting 40% literate?
It's a lot. They're lying
by the time they're adults. Yeah, these are skewed numbers. I think this is the real number. I think this is the real number.
Yeah.
66% of people in the United States can't read proficiently. I know for a fact that most of the people I have encountered struggle with compound sentences and a lot of thoughts or ideas that require some intellectual steam.
Yep.
As opposed to the instructions on a toaster.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the meat caser box.